Imagine a peaceful night hike through the woods, only to discover a hidden cabin and the ghostly figure inside. Her hollow eyes and eerie whispers are impossible to forget. Will you dare to uncover the terrifying secret she holds? Please like, subscribe, and share. Now let's start the story.
It was one of those quiet evenings at home, where the weight of the silence felt almost comforting. The world outside was bathed in golden light, and everything seemed still. Still, I pressed on, the path growing narrower as I ventured deeper into the woods. Then, just as the last traces of daylight disappeared, I heard voices. Faint, whispering voices. At first, I thought it might be other hikers, but something about the tone chilled me. It wasn't the chatter of people enjoying a walk. These voices were off. I couldn't make out the words, but the murmur felt heavy with something I couldn't quite place. I stopped in my tracks, shining my flashlight in the direction of the sound. The light only illuminated more trees, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with every flicker of the beam. I took a deep breath and cautiously stepped off the trail, moving toward the source of the sound. As I ventured deeper into the thicket, the trees seemed to close in around me. The voices grew quieter, almost fading, and then I saw an old cabin, barely visible between the overgrown bushes and twisted trees. It looked like it had been there for decades, forgotten by time. Its wooden planks were rotting, the windows covered in a thick layer of dust and grime, yet something about it felt wrong, as if it didn't belong there. My heart was pounding, but something compelled me to go inside. Maybe it was the thought of shelter for the night or a strange sense of adventure. I had been enjoying my solitude when an idea suddenly flickered in my mind. The woods, with their thick trees and crisp air, were calling to me. Whatever it was, I approached the door, which creaked open as if it had been waiting for me. The interior was as dilapidated as the outside, with old furniture covered in dust, cobwebs hanging from the ceiling, and a musty smell that filled the air. I walked deeper into the cabin, my flashlight flickering as if it too felt the tension in the air. That's when I heard it again, the faint whispering. But this time, it wasn't outside. It was inside the cabin. My skin prickled as the realization hit me. Someone or something was here. I turned slowly, my breath catching in my throat. And there, in the corner of the room, I saw her. A figure, pale and ghostly. She was dressed in a tattered, old-fashioned dress, her long hair hanging limply around her face. Her eyes, they were hollow, staring right through me. My blood ran cold. The whispers grew louder, and I realized they were coming from her soft, unintelligible mutterings that seemed to fill the room, pressing against my mind. For a moment, I was frozen. I couldn't move, couldn't think. She didn't move, just stood there, staring at me, her mouth moving with those haunting whispers. And then, without warning, she raised her hand, pointing directly at me. I hadn't been on a night hike in ages, and the thought of wandering beneath the stars, with nothing but the sounds of nature around me, seemed perfect. That was enough to break the spell. Panic surged through my body, and I bolted for the door. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I raced through the forest, crashing through the underbrush. I didn't stop running until I was back at my car, gasping for breath. My hands shook as I fumbled with the keys, desperate to get as far away from that place as possible. I never went back to those woods. Even now, I can still hear those whispers in my nightmares. That cabin, that ghostly figure, they're etched into my memory, a reminder that some places are better left undisturbed. Without a second thought, I packed up my gear, a flashlight, some snacks, and my trusty old jacket and headed out. The sun was just beginning to set as I made my way to the familiar trailhead, the one that wound deep into the heart of the forest. The path was familiar, and at first, everything felt peaceful. Birds were chirping in the distance, and the fading sunlight cast long shadows between the trees, painting everything in soft hues of orange and pink. As dusk began to settle, the woods started to change. The once vibrant colors turned to shades of gray, and the air grew cooler. The birds fell silent, replaced by the rustling of leaves as the wind picked up slightly. There was something about the way the forest darkened so quickly, as though the trees themselves were pulling the night down upon them.
If you enjoyed this terrifying tale, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling stories. Have you ever had a paranormal experience? Share your story in the comments below.